came and they toiled resiliently, bringing with them their great cultural heritage, of which we have inherited. To begin our celebrations this evening, we would like to begin with the rhythm and the song of our ancestors. We would like to begin with Biraha singing. Here to perform for you this afternoon is a very young gentleman who has taken up this timeless tradition and is keeping it alive in Trinidad and Tobago. I speak of none other than the Biraha Raja, Mr. Naresh Timal. He will be accompanied by the pulsing beats of our nation, the Tassa drums, of the Simply Chaotic Tassa group. So let us welcome them to perform here for you this evening and to begin our celebrations.
My name is Naresh Timal and I'm known as the Biraha Raja. Biraha singing was brought by our ancestors when they left India and they came to Trinidad. A very, very, very traditional art form. My Biraha here this evening going to explain where our ancestors left India and they came to Trinidad on the Fatal Razak. They came to the Kala Pani. But when they came to Trinidad, they had a lot of struggles and hardships. Yet still they survived and they became doctors, lawyers, judges, magistrates, even great pandits. And then they paid respects to their gurus. Very, very important. What are seeing lacking here today in society? Respect to the guru. My Biraha will start from here. ये देखो दानी है भारत देश हमारा मोरे भैयावा ही पवन पुत्र हनुमान हे संग लंका गए मोरे भैयावा एक कृपा करते भगवान बोल तो आजा आजा चाची चाची भारत से आए हैं तो काला पानी पार करके ट्रिनिडाद में आए हैं ये तो आजा आजा चाची चाची भारत से आए हैं तो काला पानी पार करके ट्रिनिडाद में आए हैं ये काला पानी पार करके ट्रिनिडाद में आए हैं मैंने लगे आगे को बच्चे फंसे हैं चाची चाची भारत से आए हैं तो काला पानी पार करके ट्रिनिडाद में आए हैं लगे को ट्रिनिडाद बसाए हैं आजा आजा चाची चाची मक्के बनाए हैं कोई दिखा लाया कोई बेदल चलाया है तो कोई दिखा लाया कोई बेदल चलाया है कोई चलाया कोई बिजनेस चलाया है कोई डॉक्टर जज कोई मदरसा बनाया है कोई डॉक्टर जज कोई मदरसा बनाया है कोई पंडित कोई मुल्ला भी बनाया है भारत से आए हैं तो काला पानी पार करके ट्रिनिडाद में आए हैं कोई मदरसा बनाया है तो कोई पंडित कोई मुल्ला भी बनाया है कोई पंडित कोई मुल्ला भी बनाया है तो रामायण के नाम का लड़का हो बनाया है Now you see, long ago, whenever they were any discussions to be taken place in the home, they consulted the guru. And that is something that we are lacking today. And it is very, very important for our society. Any decision to be made, they make sure to consult the guru. And they attributed all the success to the Bhagwan and the guru, as we hear in these two words. Hey, Pehu Guru गुरु पे न रचे जहान। अरे पानी से गुरु के पिंडर रचे, पिया लगा बोले निरबान। अरे सफाई के राम राम गुरु जी के बंदगी, 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 सफाई के राम राम तो जिंदगी। सफाई के राम राम गुरु के बंदगी, सफाई के राम राम 2 दिन का जिंदगी। अरे सफाई के राम राम गुरु के जिंदगी, सफाई के राम राम 2 दिन का जिंदगी, सफाई के राम राम 2 दिन का जिंदगी, सफाई के राम राम 2 दिन का। आजा आजा चाची चाची भारत से आए हैं, ते काला पानी पार करके तेरा में आए हैं, ते काला पानी पार करके तेरा में आए हैं, तो मेरे आगे लगे को रखे ऊपर आए हैं। ए आजा आजा चाची चाची भारत से आए हैं, ते काला पानी पार करके तेरा में आए हैं, काला पानी पार करके तेरा में आए हैं, तो काला पानी पार करके तेरा में आए हैं।
Swamiji, Raviji and Lalchandji enter the 6th sitting of the Varsha Pratipada Sansad.
सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ शास्ति सत्यं वद धर्मं चर स्वाध्यायान् मा प्रमदः। आचार्याय प्रियं धनमाहृत्य प्रजातन्तुं मा व्यवच्छेत्सीः। सत्यान प्रमदितव्यं धर्मान प्रमदितव्यं कुशलान प्रमदितव्यं भूतेन प्रमदितव्यं। स्वाध्याय प्रवचनाभ्यां न प्रमदितव्यं देवपितृकार्याभ्यां न प्रमदितव्यं। मातृदेवो भव पितृदेवो भव आचार्यदेवो भव अतिथिदेवो भव। यान्यनवद्यानि कर्माणि तानि सेवितव्यानि नो इतराणि। यान्यस्माकं सुचरितानि तानि त्वयोपास्यानि नो इतराणि। ये के चास्मच्छ्रेयागुंसो ब्राह्मणाः तेषां त्वयासनेन प्रश्वसितव्यं। श्रद्धया देयम् अश्रद्धया देयम् श्रिया देयम् ह्रिया देयम् धिया देयम् संविदा देयम् अथ यदि ते कर्म विचिकित्सा वा वृत्त विचिकित्सा वा स्यात् ये तत्र ब्राह्मणाः सम्मर्षिणः युक्ता आयुक्ताः अलुक्षा धर्मकामा स्युः यथा ते तत्र वर्तेरन् तथा तत्र वर्तेताः अथाभ्याख्यातेषु ये तत्र ब्राह्मणाः सम्मर्षिणः युक्ता आयुक्ताः अलुक्षा धर्मकामा स्युः यथा ते तेषु वर्तेरन् तथा तेषु वर्तेताः एष आदेशः एष उपदेशः एषा वेदोपनिषत् एतदनुशासनम् एवमुपासितव्यम् एवमुचैतदुपास्यम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago. Forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Let me say namaskar to each one of you. She is a very active, hardworking, and dedicated and reliable individual. She has a very important responsibility as Secretary of Varsha Pratipada Sansad, Parliament of the Hindu New Year, since its inception in 2012. For the past 2 years, she also functioned as the Secretary of the International Day of Yoga Committee. She is also a very active and hardworking member of the Chinmaya Mission, Trinidad and Tobago, and is presently enrolled as a student of the 3rd Vedanta course of Chinmaya Mission. Let's welcome the dynamic Kumari Vani Ram Kalawan, chairperson of this evening's 6th sitting of Varsha Pratipada Sansad, with a round of applause. Dhanyabad.
Hari Om, Sitaram, Namaste, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna, Sai Ram, Hara Hara. The Varsha Pratipada Sansad 2017 welcomes you to this, the 6th annual Samaj. To all present here at Chinmaya Mission Ashram, and those joining in via the local and international airwaves of 101.7 FM, a most sincere thank you to all listeners and broadcasters for your most esteemed presence. As we wish all a Nava Varsha Shubh Kamna Aaye, Happy New Year. We welcome you to take a moment to reflect on the opportunity given to us so that we may harvest the fruits of our authentic power from the seeds planted 5 years ago by this very sunset. We must refocus our energies and, until it is firmly established, let there be no relaxation of effort on our part as we work towards a shared goal, a common purpose, the reinvigoration of the Hindu spirit. Hindu culture is founded on the subtle, simple, yet profound insights of the rishis who have laid out for us a foundation unparalleled in history world. They have carved out the steps of sanskars and wrought the tools of matchless quality sadhanas or spiritual practices so that we too may become the protectors of Sanatana Dharma. It is now at this juncture, this Sandhya time, we seek to re-establish our purpose. According to the Hindu calendar, the first Tithi or lunar date, celebrated on the first day of the Chaitra month, marks the beginning of the new year. What better time is there to invest our thoughts in the issues threatening the survival of the Hindu community? This year, the Sansad reflects on the threats to the Hindu home. We see today a community that has thinned to less than 20% of the national population. Young Hindu men and women are increasingly becoming casualties of colonialism, the demonization of non-Abrahamic religions. We too have our own inabilities in protecting Dharma, which survived even the challenges over the Kalapani. We are grateful for the hard work of our ancestors and the institutions they have built. Now, we must continue in their path to offer new possibilities. VPS is honored to recognize the achievements of all Hindus for their dedicated efforts. We recognize the contributions in the uplift of Dharma. Through song and inspirational pieces, the theme of this year's Sansad will be explored. We invite you to share in this journey with us this evening. The Sansad is comprised of 13 member associations, all of which make distinct impressions upon the cultural landscape of our beloved nation of Trinidad and Tobago. One such member association, the Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh, is a unique organization which conducts structured programs of regular athletic and academic activities to develop strong character and leadership skills for all age groups. The HSS emphasizes self-discipline, self-confidence, and the spirit of selfless service or seva for humanity. It encourages the maintenance of Hindu cultural identity in harmony with the prevailing diversity of the world. It is now my privilege to invite to the podium Birendra Dukiji and Keshri Dukiji of the Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh, who will lead in the Sa Muhika Pledge, an assembly pledge affirming our dedicated efforts in seeking the welfare of all, our space and our environment that constitute our nation and by extension this Jagat.
Namaskar. We'd like to ask everyone to please stand and place your hands in the Namaskar position. You will repeat after us.
We stand as one family.
We stand as one family.
Bound to each other with love and respect.
Bound to each other with love and respect.
We serve as an army.
We serve as an army.
Courageous and disciplined.
Courageous and disciplined.
Ever ready to fight.
Ever ready to fight.
Against all low tendencies and false values.
Against all low tendencies and false values.
Within and without us.
Within and without us.
We live honestly.
We live honestly.
The noble life of sacrifice and service.
The noble life of sacrifice and service.
Producing more than what we consume.
Producing more than what we consume.
And giving more than what we take.
And giving more than what we take. We seek the Lord's grace to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom. May thy grace and blessings flow through us to the world around us. We believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords. And devotion to the people is devotion to the Supreme Self. We know our responsibilities. Give us the ability and courage to fulfill them. Om Tat Sat. You may now be seated.
Varsha Pratipada Sansad is now 6 years old. We are working to establish a platform for addressing Hindu issues. The Sansad encourages respectful discussion within the Hindu community, a space where disagreement is not met with derision, but with a sense of understanding that everyone is working toward a common purpose to enrich our output to the Hindu community. This focus on pointed discussion for properly unearthing and articulating our problems has led us this year to inaugurate the Varsha Pratipada Sansad Senate Sabha, through which professionals will be drafted to hold discussions on various issues. To give an overview of the growth of the Sansad over the past 5 years is a dynamic, driven personality, Dr. Arvind Singh, who has a fervent passion for reigniting the tradition of critical thinking, which has inspired him to promulgate and develop a decentralized knowledge network relating to traditional knowledge systems of India in the fields of language, philosophy, and music, and established the Center of Indic Studies, one of the Sansad's founding members. Please welcome him.
Sitaram, everyone. Members of the Sansad, the audience, Swami Prakashanandaji, Raviji, members of the Senate. I have a very simple job today. For those of you who are new or those of you who are still wondering what the VPS is all about, I'm just going to give you a brief history and tell you what it is we are trying to do and where we are trying to go. So it was in 2012 that when the country was celebrating its 50th anniversary of independence, and we were reflecting on the many achievements of our people, and also we were reflecting on the difficulties that we faced, that the community decided that we need to approach the next 50 years with a greater sense of purpose. When we look back at our history, not just over the 50 years, but over 100 years that we have been here as a people, we look back at our Jahaji ancestors who were very industrious, who, in spite of all the difficulties, they worked with a sense of purpose, and because of their work, because of their ability to develop skills to invest in the future, a lot of what we have today has come to be. We recognize that we are now endowed with diverse types of capital that place us in a very privileged position, and we are better able to reflect and examine our space and to serve ourselves and our country. We came to the realization that we must now work to rebuild that type of supportive community that would allow the continued growth of an active and creative culture. It was with this in mind that a number of Hindu groups, led by Raviji, as is often the case, and the Hindu Prachar Kendra, formed the Varsha Pratipada Sansad, the Parliament of the Hindu New Year, to deal with community issues, mark our progress as a people, and the development of ourselves and also the nation. We plan to start with 4 main things. And if you all look in your books at page 7, you'll see these there. The first thing was to raise awareness of Hinduism as a civilization with its own conceptions of time, its own calendar. And to do this, of course, if you want to mark any conception of time, the best thing to start with is the start of the year. We wanted to raise important community issues that have come to light in the course of the past year and to instill confidence in Hindu Dharma through education in its own civics, protocols, and worldviews that enrich the lives of its adherents. But to me, the most important thing that the Sansad was about, and when you think of a Sansad, when you think of a parliament, we're not thinking of the parliament we would see typical of a country, like our own parliament or the Indian parliament. But we think of a space where we come to engage each other in dialogue, to move forward. And this was one of the most important things for me that the Sansad represented. It was to foster a sense of unity and mutual sharing and support between Hindu groups. The Sansad has now become a brass tack space for mutual sharing and respectful debate within the Hindu community. As Vaniji said, where disagreement is not met with derision, and this is something we see so many times in our media, even in our Hindu media, where if you disagree with someone, you make fun of them, you put them down. This has not historically been a part of our tradition. So this has become a space where you could come together, you could disagree, you could hash things out. And there is an underlying feeling that we are all working towards a common purpose. And it is because of this spirit that the Sansad has grown from just 4 members in 2012 to 12 members now, with a further 2 on observer status. To bring the voice of the Sansad forward, this diverse group, we thought there was no better person than Pujya Swami Prakashananda Ji. He was chosen because he was deeply learnt in our dharmic traditions. He's accessible, calm, rational, and full of clean wit. He has demonstrated in a short time his ability to positively transform both the community and the nation, and you just have to look around to see that that is true. And he has the skills to build institutions, which is something that at this point in time we desperately need. It is this focus on pointed discussion for unearthing and articulating our problems that led us to this year start the VPS Senate Sabha, an annually appointed body whose members, either because of their education, vocation, skills, or experience, could bring enlightening views to the theme chosen by the Sansad. In this way, we hope to harness the vast intellectual resource of our community and move the Hindu society forward. Now, you might ask, why a Senate? If we are all about Indian civilization, why would we choose a Senate when the Indian court system, located in a monarchical system, did not have a Senate? While the Senate was not a part of the system, if you look at the composition of the ministers in the Indian court, they covered a wide variety of expertise. If you think about the Mahabharata, there was Dronacharya, there was Vidura. So you have people learned in the dharmic traditions, you have people with spiritual knowledge as well as secular knowledge. And given that our VPS core member groups were all Hindu groups and drawn from Hindu mandirs, we found that there was a need to further inform our discussions by bringing in the secular parties from our community to aid in that regard. The Senate was thus constituted as an annually appointed body that, similar to the ministers of a king's court, could bring the variety of perspectives to inform the position adopted by the VPS. And this year, the constituents were Professor Vijay Narayan Singh, Srimati Gayatri Maharaj, Dr. Vishnu Raghunath, Dr. Priya Mohan, Srimati Veena Ramkhalawan, Pandit Ramsaran Bisesa, and Shri Prakash Singh, with the Speaker of the House, the Sabhapati, being yours truly. The theme they were given this year was a very difficult one, threats to the Hindu home. And to start this off, we have to define what is a Hindu home. And this is a very difficult thing to do, given the encompassing nature of Hinduism. So it is very problematic to start with, and we heard a lot of ideas, things like celebration of Hindu events, performance of puja, presence of a jandi, and family members who possess a general worldview based in Hindu philosophy. At the end, though, we had to leave it very open and say that simply a Hindu home is one where the members identify themselves as Hindu. And some may say that this is a circular argument, but it is not really so. If you don't understand the wide scope of Hinduism, then you won't understand why this is the only logical thing you could really arrive at. The threats that were identified, if you turn to page 11, there are many of them. I'll just give you a brief overview. We had everything from poor communication inside the home and the community, the lack of unity among various Hindu organizations, and that is exactly what the Sansad addresses. The change in family structure due to work pressures, and I think this is one of the most important ones. And we could go on and on down to the breakup of communities and the rise of individualism. And our community was always one which raised children as a community, not just as individuals. The treatments, we did not get as many as we would like. Hopefully, over the course of the year, we would explore them more. One of the things was tapping into the grandparents' resource. So this again goes to the change of the family structure and what role do grandparents now have to play, especially now given extended lifetimes and the contributions they wish to make in other spheres of life. Mandirs to become centers for community and family development. The mandirs now have to take on a role which is not just spiritual, we have to go into the social as well. Promoting pride in being different through proper education about Hinduism. If we continue to benchmark others and try to live up to that, then we are destined for failure. And we have to have mechanisms for showing the tangible benefit of Hinduism in everyday life. So these are just briefly some points that came across in the discussions. We hope to treat with these throughout the year through our various groups, especially the treatments. Over the course of the next few years, this is the direction the VPS has decided to go in. And we hope to really get down to the, I don't know to say the meat of the matter, but basically we want to really get down into working solutions. There's been enough talk, and we have to get down into making actual changes in our society. So with that, I'll leave you and turn you back over to Vaniji. So Sitaram, everyone.
We take this opportunity to recognize within our audience Pandit Devkinanand Sharma, the President of the National Council of Indian Culture, and Sri Derup Timal, the President of the Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh. Another member association of the Sansad stands as one of the pillars of the Hindu community with over 2 decades of dedicated service to not only the Hindu community but also to the wider national populace. Now, under the guidance of Geeta Vahini ji, the Hindu Prachar Kendra continues to work towards the uplift of Dharma by engaging in innumerable social and cultural activities aimed at promoting the growth and development of the national consciousness. Representing this institution is Sri Ruknath Lakpat, who will have the honor of recognizing the quiet and selfless service and achievements of Sevaks within the past year of 2016 who have made a noteworthy impression on our nation. Please welcome him.
Sitaram, Sriya Patra Suchi. What is Sriya Patra Suchi? It's the recognition and acknowledgement of those Hindus who have made tremendous achievements during the past year. The Varsha Pratipada Sansad have chosen to highlight the noble contributions as well as accomplishments of the Hindus and the Hindu community to to our nation in the last year. This serves both as an adhesive, pulling the community together so we jointly acknowledge our achievements, as well as to uplift all those who identify themselves as Hindus. The Varsha Pratipada Sansad would like to acknowledge the following persons who have excelled in the past year. Youngsters: Om Prakash Singh. Om Prakash Singh is 15 years old, and he is the National Archery Champion Indoors Gold Medalist in the Under-19 category for the past 4 years. Please acknowledge the achievements of Om Prakash Singh. Saksham Mehra. Saksham Mehra of the Chinmay Vidyalaya High School has passed his CXC exams with 11 distinctions. Let us hear it for him. In the field of academic achievements also, Priya Maharaj. Priya Maharaj is the President's Gold Medal awardee for 2016. She comes from the Lakshmi Girls Hindu College. We would also like to bring to your notice and to acknowledge that this is the second consecutive year that the President's Gold Medal was won by Lakshmi Girls Hindu College. We therefore congratulate the SDMS schools and the School Board of Education on their continued and growing pursuance of academic excellence. We now move on to some other individuals who have excelled during the past year. We would also like to note the contributions of the following individuals for their dedicated and continued service to the Hindu and national community. Dr. Vishi Bihari. Dr. Vishi Bihari is a medical doctor who is actively involved in his community through the Rotary Club of Felicity and Charleville, as well as Sewa Titi. Dr. Bihari selflessly gives his time in community outreach and service through his involvement in numerous health fairs and community health initiatives. Dr. Vishi Bihari. Geeta Vahini. Geeta Vahini of the Hindu Prachar Kendra, and she is the president of the Hindu Prachar Kendra. It is noteworthy that last year, Geeta ji commemorated 25 years of reading Ramayana on the Singhasan and from the Singhasan with a 7 nights Ramayana Yagya. This is truly a historic achievement for women in the diaspora. And as president of the Hindu Prachar Kendra, she continues to lead by example from the front. Please acknowledge Geeta Vahini ji. Also in our presence today, we'll also like to acknowledge Pandit Dr. Devkinanand Sharma. Pandit Devkinanand Sharma is the president of the National Council of Indian Culture. He has recently celebrated his 80th birth anniversary. And throughout these 80 years, he has selflessly contributed for the upliftment of Hindu and Indian culture through the National Council for Indian Culture. Please recognize and acknowledge Pandit Dr. Devkinanand Sharma. We now move on to organizations. Those organizations which have contributed and continue to work by their noble achievements during the past year. We recognize and acknowledge the Center for Indic Studies. The Center for Indic Studies, led by Dr. Arvind Singh. They have published 3 books. First one, Mantra Vyakaranam. This is a textbook for pundits giving word-by-word explanations and grammatical breakdown of mantras that are used in puja. Number 2, they have published the book entitled The Little Mantra Book. This is a pocket-sized book containing common mantras which we use daily in our homes with correct transliteration and translations. Thirdly, they have published another book, Look in the Mirror, Nachiketa. This is a children's book based on the mantra of the year 1999. This is a collaborative effort with the Hindu Prachar Kendra. Let's recognize the Center for Indic Studies. Sewa Titi. Sewa Titi, the Varsha Pratipada Sansad recognized Sewa Titi for their continued efforts at nation building and selfless service through their blood drives, which have brought national attention to the issues of blood and organ donation. And this has forged a path which many organizations are now following. This year also is their 5th year in their annual Shivratri Dan Tirat, which has introduced a new dimension to the celebration of Shivratri. Locally, as well as they have produced a new model which has proved quite successful in encouraging people to donate, and this can be done easily as they forge relationship with local groceries and supermarket so that they donate hampers so that Sewa Titi can distribute to the poor and needy during the Shivratri period. Sewa Titi, Trinidad. Sewa Titi. The Hindu Women's Organization. The Hindu Women's Organization, which since 2011 has through thick and thin been highlighting the issue of the age of marriage in the various marriage acts of Trinidad and Tobago. And they have advocated for the raising of the minimum age in very clear and unambiguous terms. Though their position has been railroaded, it should be noted that they have gained the support of the network of non-governmental organizations for the advancement of women, and they continue to build and grow relationships with NGOs whose wider interests align with the work of the Hindu Women's Organization. Chinmay Mission, Trinidad and Tobago. We recognize and note and acknowledge the year-long celebration of the birth centenary of Pujya Swami Chinmayananda. Most notable during this program was the groundbreaking 108 nights of Mahagyan Yajna. I think this has never been done in Trinidad, and it was all due to the inspiration of Pujya Swami Chinmayananda and Pujya Swami Prakashanandaji for his stamina and organizational skills. And this he has taken through the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago because it involved considerable planning, organization, and collaboration with a diverse group of mandirs across Trinidad and Tobago. Chinmay Mission, Trinidad and Tobago. As I leave, I urge our youths, our individuals, our organizations to continue to work for excellence, to achieve the best you can, so that next year when we have the Varsha Pratipada Sansad, we will be recognizing and acknowledging many more of you all. I thank you.
The Sansad recognizes within our midst also the Member of Parliament for Kuva South, Mr. Rudranath Indar Singh. As part of our growth of the Sansad, it has been incremental. We started off with 4 members, and to date we have 12. If you would like to be part of this committee, and if you feel that the work is of use to you and your members, we invite you also to share that information with us. Members of many organizations are here this evening as observers to also take back to their representative organizations this particular forum. And if they are interested also, they will join with us from next year. Some that are joining with us this evening are the National Council of Indian Culture, Sati, the Hindu Women's Organization, Kabir Satyanidhi Swaha, and the Indian Diaspora Council. We'd also like to take an opportunity right now you will notice that some clipboards are going to be passed around in the midst by some of our brahmacharinis who are here at Chinmaya Mission. We would like to just get some basic information from each and every one of you that is attending here this evening, so please cooperate as they pass around. Mantra of the Year is best understood as an attempt of the Hindu Caribbean to design ways and means to instruct, guide, and interpret the rich religious cultural heritage of Hindus and address issues affecting the community or mankind in general. Composed by Sri Raviji, it is guided by the sacred words of the Bhagavad Gita, Tulsidasa's Ramayana, the Vedas, the Mahabharata, the Puranas, and the words of the Rishis, and it is meant to invoke discussion, reflection, and meditation. For the first cultural item on the program this evening, it is my esteemed privilege to introduce members of the Hindu Prachar Kendra Mandali, led by Srimati Geeta Vahini ji, the spiritual leader of the Hindu Prachar Kendra, and other members of the Mandali. You are now invited to follow along with her as they present Hari Om Hari. Shastra Drishtaha Paro Dharma Sthito Garhastyam Ashritaha Hari Om to your family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. Hari Om to your family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. Dharma is the axis of the family. Sanskar is the basis of the family. To build a new world order, put the family in order. There's no other way, so make it right today. Hari Om to your family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. The key is the sanskar we give in every home. Design our sansar through each and every home. The womb of the world is the family. So you and me must mold the world family. So Hari Om to your family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. A real man is he, faithful to his family, and the woman is she who holds the family. That child is a blessing to any family.
helping and sharing in the family. Aja and Aji and all the Nati, praying and playing in the family. Hurry home to your family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. When a child is born, the world is born. When a home is torn, the world is torn. When a home is torn, the world is torn. Parents are the farmers in the garden of the home. The child is the flowering world in the home. When a child is born, the world is born. When a home is torn, the world is torn. So, hurry home to your family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. Rama showed the stand of the Raghukula Riti. He even went to Ban to demonstrate his duty. For each and every home to be a dharmic home, we must build our family on Raghukula Riti. We must build our family on Hindu Kula Riti. So, hurry home to your family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. Hurry home to your family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family. Hari Om Hari will bless the family.
Our nation today is beset with perils at all levels in our personal and interpersonal interactions and is standing at a critical crossroad. We ourselves are the result of our own actions. Our failure to honor the interconnectedness of the Supreme in all beings, both living and non-living entities, has led to an upsurge of heinous crime and murders within recent months. The Sansad this evening is alerting our Samaj as well as recording the notable issues that have emerged locally at an alarming rate within this past year. We request that you listen attentively to the words of one of our members of the Sansad, Shri Revanti Laksing, president of Sewa Titi, an ardent worker who leads this not-for-profit organization inspired by the noble Hindu tradition of service before self, and that by serving humanity, one is serving God. Revanji will also be accompanied by Srimati Anila Bhagwat, who has grown up being an active, involved member of the Hindu Prachar Kendra. She's a member of the NCIC Youth Arm and co-director of the Center for Indic Studies, founded by her and her husband, Dr. Arvind Singh. She's a very dedicated mother of two beautiful girls, Anasuya and Ananya. Please welcome them.
Namaskar. Saudan is about acknowledging the place of Hindus and Hinduism within the local framework. The Varsha Pratipada Sansad seeks to highlight, from a Hindu perspective, issues that affect the Hindu and the national community. These offer talking points for Hindu leaders and the wider community as we bring to the fore issues which impact us, such as the lack of sensitivity towards Hindus. Okay, right. So the lack of sensitivity towards Hindus. As highlighted in previous VPS teams, the Hindu pagan, we continue to see the marginalization of Hinduism in the national framework. This is clearly seen in the imagery used in the reporting on the marriage acts. There's a general lack of sensitivity to the Hindu sensibilities, and when voices are raised in outcry, these are generally dismissed. This was also demonstrated in Chalk Dust's Calypso, which pinpointed one community solely as anti-progressive in the child marriage debate. And then this same calypso went on to gain national prominence as it won the National Calypso Monarch. Another example was the section in Apnadesh in Brian McFarlane's 2017 Carnival portrayal. Some Hindus felt the display was insensitive towards their cultural practices. Now, whether this is justifiable or not, we're not here to determine that. But the fact that when someone spoke about it, this was seen as divisive and not as something that is intrinsically part of the national discourse. So as we move forward, we would like to make sure that our sensitivities are considered in the national discourse. The next major issue is the rise in crime. The drastic rise in crime and the severity of violent crime now hampers religious activity. People no longer feel safe to stay out late with their families. The Ramayana Yajna is one of the things that is severely under threat. The Ramayana Yajna normally takes place after work and at nights. This is one of the main sources where the population is taught and is practiced good sanskars, good values that promote productivity. Sanskars which are relevant to our economic times. Mandirs now have to adjust their celebration so that devotees can go home earlier, having sometimes to sacrifice the content of the program that is delivered. We now live in a self-imposed state of emergency. While the authorities seem to have buried their heads in the sand to the severity of the impact of crime on Trinidad and Tobago value system. Crimes against women. There has been a drastic increase in the intimate partner violence and crime against women, who are now made to feel like second-class citizens. The general public and the state officials continue to use judgmental tones when discussing women's issues and women's safety, particularly in the case of young girls who have gone missing, who have run away from home. Additionally, the high rate of teenage pregnancy is symptomatic of wider issues, including sexual and physical abuse in children. And the Sansad sees the high rate of teenage pregnancies as a very important issue that we need to deal with. Bullying. The instances of bullying have also increased in schools and at home. This demonstrates that the home environment is under threat. Additionally, the education system is woefully underprepared and is lacking the resources to deal with bullying in the school system. Next is the environmental alert. Environmental degradation, specifically the lead contamination of groundwater due to the leakage from garbage dumps, continue to be an issue. It is a basic right of the citizenry to have access to safe water supplies. The contamination of our groundwater is both a failure of the state to ensure safety of its citizenry and to develop proper policy around waste disposal, and an issue of individual and collective responsibility in the waste that we produce. We need to address these questions and how we can cut down waste in our lives and how we can create a more ecologically balanced country. Economic downturn. The economic downturn has had a severe impact on employment. We need to address the wider implication of this, including how it fuels crime, leads to instances of domestic and child abuse, and how it causes a rise in mental health issues. As a Hindu community, we should discuss how we can come together to fight the ill effects of the shrinking economy, specifically solutions that Hinduism have to offer in the diversification of the economy. And this leads to the lack of resources for Hindu activities, which could lead into some of this diversification. Hindu celebrations, apart from Diwali, are usually seen as insular, as belonging to the Hindu community and not part of the national community. We need to change this perception. We should begin by highlighting the positive values of that these festivals teach, how they contribute to the positive socialization, and how they can fit into the wider national framework. Example, Raksha Bandhan. Raksha Bandhan teaches social cohesion and encourages us to extend our family to our communities and our nation. Guru Purnima teaches us respect for teachers in a time where we see our schools have problems with respect between the students and the teachers. And it highlights the relationship between the teacher and the student. Ganga Dashera celebrations have become rooted within issues of ecological and environmental awareness. These festivals have been making tremendous positive impact on our national community. Another example, for instance, is we should advertise the tourism marketability of the festival season from Ganesh Utsav to Kartik. Diwali alone is a huge economic generator, and we can attest to this by the Diwali Nagar. It's a huge economic generator, and its contribution is generally ignored. There are over 100 Ramlila enactments in Trinidad and Tobago, some of the highest standards in the world. And with this comes employment for people who manage sound systems, stage construction, costume design and construction, food, sanitary workers. We need to discuss how we can highlight these important festivals to change the discourse as we petition for more representative resources.
Namaskar. This last point is a call to action. Red alert. How can we stand up as a society in the face of rising violent crime, which threatens our rights as human beings, our rights to life, to freedom of movement, to enjoyment of property, to religious practice, are all being compromised, and those in positions of authority have failed to protect our most basic human rights. We can no longer abide by that failure in leadership. I belong to a small group called the TNT Patriots for Justice, and we have been calling on the population to use red as your symbol of national pain, a symbol of that blood that flows daily, a symbol of our collected frustrations and panic. Make that pain visible. Wear red. Place a red flag on your gate, out your window, on your wall, or do the Hindu thing and put up a red jandi as a sign of visible resistance. In this season of Navratam and Hanuman Jayanti, red is very symbolic to us as Hindus. It reminds us of Durga's triumph of righteousness over unrighteousness, of the strength, power, and vibrancy of Devi, of Hanuman's strength and veer, of his loyalty, fearlessness, and steadfastness. It is symbolic of what we demand from our leaders. We demand strength, integrity, loyalty to its citizenry, steadfastness. It is time we take that color to represent our pain, our pride, our fed-upness, our demand for leadership. We are asking all Hindus to join us as we go red and own red. The nation needs to be put on a red alert. Namaskar.
Joining with us this evening also is Acharya of Brahma Vidya Peetham, Pandit Dignan, and members of the Port of Spain Science Center. So welcome to you all. This year, 2017, commemorates the 100th anniversary of the end of indentureship in Trinidad and Tobago, a time reminiscent of the sacrifices made by our Jahaji forefathers, a time of remembrance of their grit and determination, having passed the baton on to succeeding generations. The Sansad, in recognition of these most historic times, presents our thoughts and an assertion on the way forward. To do this evening is our beloved Brahmacharini Akalkaji and Acharya of Chinmay Mission Trinidad. She attended the second residential Vedanta course under Puja Swami Prakashananda Ji and after rigorous spiritual training, she has committed herself to serving Chinmaya Mission and our rich and diverse spiritual heritage in Trinidad and Tobago. She will also be accompanied by Sri Raviji, who is certified by the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts as a cultural innovator. G, as he is lovingly called by most, is a community worker at the Hindu Prachar Kendra and has been selflessly serving the country for over 30 years. He has been one of, if not the greatest inspiration, foundation and support of this Sansad from its birth. Please welcome them.
The Varsha Pratipada Sansad 2017 commemorates the 100th anniversary of the end of indentured laborship. Our Jahaji ancestors were uprooted from their land, culture, and communities and thrust into an inhumane experience as chattel in Trinidad. This lasted for 72 years from 1845 to 1917. We condemn the colonial labor scheme, even as we celebrate our ancestors for surviving and thriving in the face of extreme adversity. In spite of their circumstances, they left for us impressive legacies. Of them, the inspired legacy of Grahastha Ashram homemaking, which proved to be priceless. Homemaking inspired sacrifice and industry that led in good measure to the stability and prosperity of the wider community. While our ancestors' marriages were not considered legal by the statute, and their children were deemed bastards, they drew validity from being married under bamboo, which integrated diverse religious and social rituals to secure the witness of Agni Devata and their ancestral and community approval. The 6th sitting of Varsha Pratipada Sansad 2017 is of the opinion that this early decision of homemaking, sanctified by marriage, became an inspired preoccupation driven by the cultural ethos of the popular Ramayana. VPS 2017, therefore, acknowledges Grahastha Ashram homemaking as an insightful, priceless legacy bequeathed to us by our Jahaji ancestors. We believe that a stable home leads to many positive features in the community, if not all. In tribute and thankfulness to the Jahajis, VPS 2017 has selected the home as our theme for reflection on this centenary year. It is incumbent upon us as their descendants to cherish, strengthen, encourage, protect, and invest in homemaking as a priority legacy to bequeath to the future. Our Jahaji ancestors did not look upon adversity as prohibitive. Instead, they used their ethos of self-sacrifice through the Grahastha Ashram and industry to lift the future generations. Today, we are called upon to follow their example and secure the future by nurturing good homes.
Jai Shri Ram. This part is an assertion based on the presentation just now. Kindly ask all of you to stand for this assertion so that you'll be alert. As we in Trinidad and Tobago commemorate the 100th anniversary of the end of indentureship, Hindus must not be caught in the trap of a lament of the past, but the past must be used to form the present, to inform the present, so that in the coming past we have no need to lament. We must, in fact, grab vigorously and creatively this opportunity to engage the need for decolonization. And for this reason, every Hindu home, every Hindu family, every community must commemorate Varsha Pratipada, the Hindu New Year, for the following reasons. Trinidad and Tobago must be alerted to the fact that an independent nation must not endure a blindness of the wealth of experience of the diverse civilizations that are nestled here in Trinidad and Tobago, and what they are capable of and what they have indeed accomplished. Number two, and the calendar is a text of a civilization, an expose on the dreams, the creativity, the thought, and the architecture of its sociology, and the story of its adventures. For Hindus, our calendar, we believe, is revolutionary. Just as it sees its colorful management of time and record of its history into a staggering, distant past. As number three, as a community, it is important that we make intimate the Hindu calendar as part of our sadhana, even as we manage the exigencies of the Gregorian calendar, working it into our civic lives. For a Hindu, management of diversity is natural to the descendants of our Jahajis. Today, we are called upon to follow their examples, to secure the future by nurturing good homes. Thank you very much.
Pichikari is a local genre of Phagwa songs written in English or local dialect, and it includes a few Hindi or Bhojpuri words and phrases in its composition. It is a community voice afforded to the masses. The concept was born at the Hindu Prachar Kendra over 25 years ago and reflects social commentary on issues that are current. This evening, the 1994 Pichikari, What Happening to the Family, will be presented by Geeta Vahini ji and Srimati Siromani Narayan Singh ji. Although current at that time, we recognize that the Hindu home was and will always be of paramount importance in the development of sound. Individuals. Accompanying them is Sri Rana Mohib ji and members of the Hindu Prachar Kendra Mandali.
So this is 23 years old, and we are fighting the same battles. Everything has been very serious so far. This is a bit amusing, but indeed very serious.
Nana, oh Nani, what happening to the family? Tell me, oh tell me, what happening to the family?
Page 27.
Nana, oh Nani, what happening to the family? Tell me, oh tell me, what happening to the family? Family in crisis, moral arthritis, can't stand to see culture in the family. Nana, oh Nani, what happening to the family? Tell me, oh tell me, what happening to the family? Since a small I see Aja coming home drunk every weekend, Papa coming home drunk. Now is Bhaiya time, whole night he like to lie, with total disregard for the high rate of crime. Is really thunder for every mother, family breaking down, man only drinking rum. Nana, oh Nani, what happening happening to the family? In the Mahabharat, fight over property. In the Ramayana, fight over property. Aja sacrifice, he make it so nice. He leave we property and prosperity. But we so greedy when we see plenty. Is Mahabharat war right in the family? Nana, oh Nani, what happening to the family? Tell me, oh tell me, what happening to the family? I have no TV, too much of poverty, but entertainment free, right in the family. Bhauji coming late, she say was overtime. Bhaiya in a state, he have another line. This one doing he thing, that one doing she thing. Kaljug have no shame, all people doing the same. So I don't need TV to entertain me. Is young and restless right in the family? Nana or Nani, what happening to the family? Tell me, oh tell me, what happening to the family? Nana or Nani, what happening to the family?
To continue and complete our Shreya Patra Suchihi for 2017, we call back on stage Shri Lakpaji and Pandit Ramsaran Bisasa.
The descendants of the Jahajis have accomplished many excellent things. Shreya Patra Suchi continues. There are so many things that we would have recognized, so many youngsters, so many individuals, so many organizations we would have liked to recognize and acknowledge today. But because of time constraints, we have limited to just these few. But there are some that cannot wait, and we need to recognize Swaha International. The 6th Varsha Pratipada Sansad recognizes and acknowledges Swaha International on their acquisition of ITV, thus giving Hindus another media platform which allows for the broadcasting of Hindu interests, content, and points of view, which we don't have in our media, our national media at present. This Swaha International website also regularly updates and provides information to Hindus on various relevant topics and discussions which impact upon the Hindu community. And for this, the Sansad recognizes Swaha International. The 6th Varsha Pratipada Sansad also would like to recognize the Port of Spain Science Center. The Port of Spain Science Center is recognized for its dedicated and inspired act of selfless love to the community of Trinidad and Tobago by religiously and tirelessly serving meals to the poor for more than 108 nights since November 2016. This initiative has engaged the efforts of not only Hindus, but non-Hindus throughout the island, with over 29,000 meals served to date. We recognize Port of Spain Science Center. And with that, I finally take my leave, and I wish that we will be able to come here next year and recognize more individuals, more youngsters, and more organizations for their accomplishments. Thank you.
The Center for Indic Studies has been collaborating with the Hindu Prachar Kendra over the last 2 years to bring to life and animate the Hindu Prachar Kendra's Mantra of the Year 1999, Nachiketa, as a children's book. This presentation is the culmination of that process. A small book illustrated by Rajendra Ramkalawan and reworked into prose by Srimati Anila Bhagwat. Look into the Mirror, Nachiketa deals directly with this year's theme, threats to the Hindu home. When your child's core identity is attacked, what else should they do but look in the mirror and recall their true divine self? Our storytelling will be done by Srimati Anila Bhagwat and the vocals by Srimati Siromani Narayan Singh of the Hindu Prachar Kendra.
Anupashya yatha purve pratipashya tatha pare anupashya yatha purve pratipashya tatha pare pratipashya tatha pare pratipashya tatha pare.
Look in the mirror. What do you see? Do you see all that you can be? Do you know who you really are? What do you see when you look in the mirror? Sometimes, do you feel down, like there is no one around who understands you or the things you do?
You may feel like a stranger, but
you may feel like a stranger, but you are Nachiketa. You are a child of the Devatas. They reside inside you and give you strength too. So rise from your slumber. Sing out your mantra. You are my Nachiketa.
Down in Patal, look at Sagarhal, Bhagirathi mere lal.
You are a child of the Rishis, just like our hero Bhagirathi, who prayed for his pitris. You too can bring down Ganga from all the way in Devaloka. You can do it if you try. You are a divine child. Just like the child Nachiketa, who stood up to his naughty papa, who made the great god Yama grant him knowledge and moksha. You can do anything, just try. Remember, you are a divine child. You are my Nachiketa. You, child of a great culture.
As a Jahaji, you broke Kala Pani, Saat Samundar Par. Out of a plantation, you built us a nation from toil and pyar.
a child of the Jahajis who crossed the Kalapani to come to Trinidad and work so very hard. They would cut cane all day and had no time for play. From out of the plantation, they built us a great nation. You are strong like the Jahajis. You carry with you our history. You are not alone, Beta. You are mine, Nachiketa. Rise from your slumber, stir up your janta. Rise like Hanuman, chant the name of Ram. You are part of a long kahani. Now it's your turn to carry the jandi. Chant, I believe in me. I will be the best I can be. I am divinity. Be sure in what you do. Never waver, stay true to you. Let puja and shastra be your guide. Sing out your mantra far and wide.
The fire of the rishis, let it blaze again. The blood of the rishis coursing through your veins.
The fire of the rishis will blaze again. The blood of the rishis course through your veins. Gandhiji, Vivekananda, Siddha Sadhu, they were all once small like you. They are brave heroes of Dharma. Their words and deeds should guide your karma. Their stories are yours too. You were born to carry them through. You are a little hero of Dharma. You are mine, Nachiketa. Do you think what I say is not true? Well, I have one more secret to show you.
Let me put the kajal, surely you will see.
Let me put the kajal, surely you will see. When I put the kajal, you will see Avatar, Nachiketa. Just like Sita and Rama, you are the all-knowing Brahma. For inspiration, just look in the mirror. Remember, to all the questions, you are the answer.
Come back to my Godi, I'll sing you that lori you played on the Murali. Come back to my breast, which you and Sita blessed when you face Ravan's test. Let me put the kajal, surely you will see. When you put the kajal, you will see. Avatar Nachiketa. Now sanskar beti beta to become Nachiketa. Yes, sanskar beti beta to become Nachiketa, so that rishis could walk in this land. Oh, Nachiketa, for inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa.
Jai Shri Ram. Become pious to attract and bring a pious child into the world to make the society strong. These are the words of Pujya Swami Prakashananda ji. I would not have the temerity to introduce you to Swami Prakashananda ji, but to say a few words by getting you ready to listen to the Margadarshan by the Margadarshak, the one who shows the pathway. Many of you may not know that all of this here might not have been if Swamiji didn't make a certain decision. Swamiji was almost bound to go to the smallest continent, way below, to Australia. If that had happened, Trinidad would have been a poorer place. Sometimes some people make a simple decision. It changes their own lifestyle, their own history, but it also changes the history of the country. Sometimes some people are born to make such decisions to change a country. I have known Swamiji since he was quite young, and even before he left for Canada for studies. We had the opportunity to see a Nachiketa amongst us, but not to recognize him. But something led me to, just before he departed, to give him a text by Swami Chidbhavanandaji, the Gita by Swami Chidbhavanandaji. It seems that some intuition was emanating for him about his future and our connection in Trinidad and Tobago to him. Because today, he is soon going to write his own Bhagavad Gita commentary. As I think now, you can't see, but my hair is standing on the ends. As a community worker, I know how difficult it is to conceptualize work, how to create an institution, how to make it successful. And so many people we have had in working hard. One of them left a legacy for us, Bade Sagan Maharaj. Today, not so tall he is, like Bade Sagan Maharaj, but certainly not less. In time to come, this small little figure would be remembered for how tall he walked in Trinidad and Tobago. I ask you to stand and receive Swami Prakashananda Ji as he enters this stage to theorize on what we have been for 1 year working and thinking and imagining on threats to the home. Jai Sri Ram!
Sam gachadhvam samvadadhvam sambo manamsi janatam deva bhagam yatha purve sanjnanana upasate sammano mantra samiti samani samanam manasah chitam esham sammanam mantram abhimantrayevaha samanena voha vishajuhomi samani va akutihi sammana hridayanivaha sammanam astu vo manaha yathavaha susahasati. May our intentions and aspirations be alike. Let our hearts be joined as one, and united be our thoughts. At peace with all, may we be together in harmony. Come together, speak together, let our minds be in agreement, just as the Devas shared their portion of Yagya. Boliye Satya Sri Sanatan Dharma ki Jai. Please be seated.
A very special Hari Om, Sitaram, Namaste to all of you. Thank you for having me once more this year in my attempt to show the marga. Our topic has been reiterated several times by all the various speakers. Threats to the Hindu home. When we say the Hindu home, what we really mean in a nutshell is Hindu values. It is only values that make a home. And if the values are evil, we have an evil home. If the values are good, we have a good home. The home is built on the foundation of values only. Alternatively, the Hindu home can be seen as, one, as we saw previously, a household where there are Hindu practices and observances like puja, Diwali, Shivaratri, Ram Navami, and so on. Two, where Hindu values are upheld, like respect for elders, or even a simple thing like taking out your shoes before you enter the home. Three, where people identify with Sanatana Dharma, the religion itself, where they call themselves Hindus. Four, where the family members of that home espouse a world view based on Hindu philosophy, Hindu metaphysics. Our Sabhapati, who came on first, has already summarized all the varied and extremely serious threats to the Hindu home. To once more reiterate, poor communication inside the home and in the community, lack of unity among various Hindu organizations, challenges in the family structure due to work pressures, neglect of sex education, feeling of shame and defensiveness about traditions, lack of competent Hindu leaders who can relate Shastras to the modern times, external cultures that are openly hostile to Hinduism, lack of training for young Hindu males to assume the role of a man, lack of premarital counseling, breakup of communities, and the rise of individualism. These are some of the threats to the Hindu homes that have been identified by our distinguished members of the Sansad's Senate. But why is this topic of critical importance to us today? It is because any threat to the Hindu home spells disaster to Trinidad and Tobago. The nation's citizens are produced in the home. Where there is a decadence in the home, there is certainly to follow a decadence in the nation. And in fact, this is what has happened. This is the state that we have reached. The values imbibed in the home is what we carry to the nation. If the nation is bleeding today, it is because the values that are supposed to obtain in the home have been slaughtered. This accentuates the importance of the Hindu home because I am fully convinced that Hinduism and perhaps some of the Deshi grassroots religions espouses the values that are required for saving the planet. And the values that I speak about are characteristically Hindu values. And we should never, ever think that morality and values are the same across all religions. I do not agree with this. Hindu values are characteristically Hindu values. Because the values of the Hindus are founded on the metaphysics of Hinduism. And when we say, for instance, don't kill, we mean something totally different from when other people say don't kill. Hindu values are Hindu values. And there are many of our own Hindu people who say that all religions are same. They are not the same by any stroke of imagination. And so when we speak about Hindu values, we mean values that are practiced in a Hindu home, values that are enshrined in Shastras, values that are lived by the rishis and the yogis. And those values are valuable to the survival of Trinidad and Tobago. The fundamental philosophical outlook of others is to conquer and to convert, because they seem to feel that they have a monopoly on truth. This lack of openness is the root of the greatest evils on earth. The Hindu value here is parasparam bhavayantaha of the Bhagavad Gita, that we work and live together and feed each other. We nourish each other, not to conquer and convert. If the Hindu home gets destroyed, the world will lose these most wonderful values that are liable to save humanity. Gita, speaking on the Hindu home, says, Kulakshaye pranashyanti kula dharma sanatanaha kula dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhyavatyuta. It says, when there is a decline or destruction of the home, life-sustaining values get destroyed. When these values get destroyed, unrighteousness, like injustice and crime, they prevail. They sweep the society. And so, if the Hindu home is destroyed, Trinidad and Tobago loses a most valuable part of its heritage. This is the mainspring of our topic here today. If the Hindu home is destroyed, the world loses a valuable tool for survival. But the protection of the Hindu home and Hindu values is not the ward of others. It remains the responsibility of Hindus. No one else is going to do it for us. And how to protect these Hindu values and protect the Hindu home? We first have to study. The Rishi's approach is always study the problem. When we look at the issue today, we realize that the threats to the Hindu homes can be divided into two groups. One is external threats to the Hindu home, and the second is internal threats to the Hindu home. Bahirante tarjane in Sanskrit it is called. Two types of threats. First, external threats. There is no denying, as Sabhapatiji has noted, there are external cultures that are openly hostile to Hinduism. In fact, as I see it, the biggest external threat to the Hindu home is the state-backed hegemony of the religion of the colonial masters that was etched onto the minds of slaves by force, and which has now become the remote control for those very masters in declaring Hinduism and other grassroots religions as pagan. This inflicts on the Hindu mind a constant psychological pressure to eschew anything Hindu. when some seek to lift themselves by denigrating Hindus and others, this is a socially unhealthy trait and not good for any nation. It is this type of psychological pressure which introduces the feeling of shame and defensiveness about Hindu traditions. It is psychological violence. This type of psychological violence can cause instability in the whole world. What to talk of a small nation like Trinidad and Tobago. 2, under the heading of external threats. There are constant pressures on the Hindu mind brought on by quantum leaps in globalization. Diminishing Desha Bhakti is one of the offshoots of that. Desha Bhakti means love for one's own country. And the loss of identity in the global soup or melting pot. We see a deep need among many of our Hindus to fit in. And so, when they travel abroad, for instance, they'll change their names. I can think of many right now. Their names get changed from Hindu names to nice Hindu names to something else. But the pressures of globalization, trying to make people fit in and all that. The melting pot, the soup. 3, the siege of information technology with a barrage of pornography and strong consumerism accompanying the release of latest models of iPhones and Samsung phones and all that. The siege of information technology on the Hindu mind. He forgets his Hinduness and he takes readily to all of these things. The anti-Hindu pressures of democracy, which ensures the abuse of rights and freedoms. Children having rights that they assert above the heads of parents. And so parenting becomes a greater challenge. And parents asserting their individual rights protected by democracy. And when they assert their individual rights, forsaking parental duties and so on. Then there is capitalism itself, which facilitates inequities and injustices, the rule of parasitic oligarchies. All of these blur, when the pressures come on the Hindu's mind, all of these blur the lines between dharma and adharma, right and wrong for the Hindu. The Hindu feels that he has to do as the Romans do. Dharma is thrown out of the window. He doesn't consider it. The rise of individualism, another threat from the outside, from the dominant paradigm that is shared to us through the school system and everything. The rise of individualism for guiding social coexistence, a contradiction in itself, and in direct contradiction to the Bhagavad Gita and all Hindu texts that prescribe loka sangraha or loka hita, living for others. Individualism, the rise of individualism, is direct contradiction to this teaching of loka hita and loka sangraha. It is this type of individualism which also causes parents to relinquish the sacred duties of parenting. And children later on to put elderly parents, see, same individualism. Later on, the children themselves put parents in old age homes. Individualism. I think about myself. Both travesties of the Hindu value system. But now, internal threats. Internal threats also can be divided into 2. There are samajik tarjanani, threats from within the Hindu community itself. And then there is adhyatmik tarjanani, threats from within the individual himself. First, samajik tarjanani, threats from within our own Hindu community. the Hindu Samaj itself has this lack of unity. Hindu organizations vie with each other. Hindu organizations in combating the onslaught of environmental pressures have no unity. So there is no unity in the dissemination of knowledge to the Hindu Samaj, for instance. And mind you, it is the Hindus who need this unity the most, because though the other two religions are just as disunited, many times Hindus feel that the other religions are united. They are just as disunited. But one has had the traditional backing of the state, and the other is backed by Middle Eastern countries. It is only the Hindu who is left as an orphan. 2, the misunderstood caste system by Hindus themselves has been another main cause for the lack of this unity. And it is a misunderstood system, a very valid system of caste as presented in our Shastras, but totally misunderstood. Then, there is internal struggle for power and domination among our organizations. Further, somehow, we have this external threat from the Hindu community itself. We seem to have had a shrap of having Hindu leaders who have been more politicians than Hindus, and so have misrepresented or underrepresented us, while setting bad examples for future generation, even pushing many Hindus away from our fold. The Varsha Pratipada Senate identified this lack of competent Hindu leaders who can relate Shastras to modern times as one of our serious threats. We have not really demanded better from our leaders. It is time that Hindus themselves stand up and demand better from Hindu leaders. That we don't do. All these, I understand, however, are necessary stages in our evolutionary journey, and I feel that we are slowly and surely coming out of this rut. And therefore, I move on to Adhyatmik Tarjanani, the threats from within. I cannot help but think, notwithstanding all the pressures from the external environment, and all the shortcomings we so lovingly foster within the Hindu Samaj, when I look at strong Hindus that are products of our Hindu Samaj, like Raviji, Geeta Vahini, Professor Narayan Singh, Dr. Arvind Singh, Revanji, Lalchandji, Prakash Singh, Pandit Atma Maharaj, Pandit Devkinanand Sharma, Shri Haripasad Harikisun, and so on, I see we have always produced good, dharmic people. But we need to keep on producing enough to impact the home, in the community, and on the international stage if we are going to survive. And we need to do this with grace. We also have to work towards a Hindu-friendly society. And we are already seeing evidence of this emerging, where the Sansad itself has invited many non-Hindus to come and witness our proceedings here in the past. When I see the great stalwarts in the Hindu landscape of Trinidad and Tobago, I feel we possess the might, the right, the hindsight, the insight, the foresight, the strength, and the power necessary to create a future generation of strong Hindus who can stand up to and easily tide over the pressures plaguing the Hindu psyche. In fact, external threats and pressures should be seen as a catalyst for developing internal strength. It is built into every organism to evolve in order to meet the challenges of the environment. And so Hindus are no different. The challenges of the outer world should serve to be an inspiration to us to build stronger Hindus out of ourselves. An external threat, however strong, cannot have its effect unless we are internally weak. Only when we are internally weak, the external threat can overpower us, overwhelm us. When Manthara unleashed a barrage of evil injections on Kaikeyi, Tulsidas ji writes that Kaikeyi was of weak mind, adhara buddhi, and therefore Manthara converted her. Every external threat needs an internal counterpart, a corollary within, an adhyatmic corollary, in the form of a durguna or a dosha, a negative trait within, which when protected by us paves the way for that external threat to steamroll its way into our life, into our home, into our families, into our nation. Ravana's family was destroyed by lust. That was the internal dosha. Hiranyakashipu's family was destroyed by ego, the internal dosha. Dhritarashtra's family was destroyed by the greed for power, internal dosha. If the Durguna's personal shortcomings are removed, no amount of external pressure can shake the Hindu. We can surely protect the Hindu home by removing these internal doshas, internal shortcomings. Let me give you a few more examples. The dearth of competent Hindu leaders, which we identified as a threat, which the Sansad Senate identified as a threat. In that matter, the Durguna is ignorance. If we don't have competent Hindu leaders, the Durguna, the internal defect is ignorance. It can only be rectified by imparting knowledge. Knowledge is the panacea. So also, with the caste system, ignorance of our philosophical foundations is the dosha, the defect. Ignorance of our philosophical foundations is to be removed. That ignorance has to be removed. Hindus have always valued knowledge, not mere book knowledge, as the colonial masters have planted in our heads, but more importantly, spiritual knowledge. Take another example. The pressures of capitalism. It is a competitive world. All businessmen tell me that they have to engage in unfair practices, lying, cheating, withholding taxes, charging more when circumstances permit. So many things. Yes, Swamiji, we have to keep up with the... If we don't do, our business will go under. Many have admitted to me. They have to engage in the practices which are out there. You see? To keep up with the game. To keep ahead in the game. He is untrue to himself because in the house, he calls the unfair practices, he calls them unfair practices, but in the house, he demands truthfulness and fairness. The dosha inside is greed. And that greed makes him compromise with principles which he knows, which he adheres to. He adheres to, or he knows that it is proper to speak the truth and to be fair. So that is what he knows inside. But there is greed. And so because of that greed, he compromises with those things when he goes out, when he acts in the public. And so there is a split in the personality. There is a chasm between his actions and his conviction. That weakens the Hindu. And that weakness is caused by greed. There's a wonderful story of a fella in the village. A man driving a nice new car in the village in some back road, and a big pothole in the middle of the road with mud. The car gone down inside there. So the Indian fella come out from next door right there with a mule. And he tied the car with he tied the mule to the car and pull out the car. And the driver said, well, I could give you something. He said, yeah, that would be $40. So the driver found it was a very high price, $40, what? If you keep up this day and night, pulling out cars from this pothole, you will become rich pretty soon. He said, no, I can't do it in the night. That is when I will be bringing water to throw in the pothole. So he came up with a nice plan there. Just to keep ahead in the business, you see. But greed. The adhyatmic corollary of all of this, crumbling to the pressures of capitalism, is the greed inside. The antidote for this greed is asakti, as given by Bhagavad Gita, detachment and charity also. Satyam is the antithesis for untruthfulness to oneself. So the values which are there in the Shastras, those values are the antidote to all of these durgunas, which weaken us and allow the external pressures to trample on us. Truthfulness was the watchword of Gandhiji. It is printed on the Indian money and appears in every Shruti and every Smriti. But one cannot impart any of these values if one himself has not imbibed them. The weakness is with me, and I cannot impart these values just by mere words. Another example, that of individualism, which has selfishness at its root. The whole Bhagavad Gita began with this defect, this dosh. What? Selfishness. Arjuna was only thinking of himself. Like modern parents who only think of which fete they're going to go on the weekend. Only think of themselves. Or children who, again, because of the selfishness, do not want their leisure time to be stolen away by taking care of old parents, aged parents. Selfishness. Selfishness leads to the disease of dispensability in society also. Use something for my instantaneous gratification, and if it fails to further gratify me, dispense with it. Get another one. This cancer has affected the family also. So a divorce has become a very slay of the hand thing. And we see the effect most starkly here in the school. Because the most problems we have from students are students who become victims to this type of thing. Dispensable. Wife is dispensable. Your husband is dispensable. Selfishness. So if that selfishness is removed, the greatest threat to the Hindu home is removed. I agree that there are threats outside, but I'm telling you the threats are most potent from inside. Valuing the family and family life is overpowered by selfishness or personal gratification. Children pay the price, and society pays the ultimate price. Because abandoned and neglected, children later become the adults who become the menace to society. The menace outside has its roots inside in selfishness. Bhagwan's antidote to this dosha, this defect, is called as lokahitam, loka sangraha, thinking and living for the other. The dominant value in the world today, promulgated by all sectors of society, including dominant religions, is not lokahitam, but lokatekam. The world is for the taking. Take for yourself. The way forward, imparting these values, fostering, engendering, inculcating these values. How am I going to impart values to my children if I have not become an embodiment of that value itself? I don't give my life to my children, but I expect later on, when I become old, that they should give their life to me. It will not happen, because they do not get values from what I formulate. They get values from what I emulate. Not by mere speaking. If there is a dearth of Hindu values in the Hindu home, it is because we ourselves have eschewed these values. Values are protected and propagated only in one way, by imbibing them and living them ourselves. We are always excited about teaching values to children. We keep saying it all the time. Values cannot be taught to children. The values cannot be taught, they have to be caught. This is sanskar. We're talking about sanskar, the Hindu theory of education and development. Sanskarization is less of a verbal process than a demonstrative process, a living process. This means that we ourselves have to become living embodiments of the values. Children will catch them. They will be imparted to the children unknowingly. I become pious so that I draw into this universe and into the family, to the nation, pious souls from the infinite number of jivas. Bhagavan says that we are our own enemies and we are our own friends. Atmeva bandhu, atmeva ripuhu. If one does an objective analysis of the cause for any decadence in society, we will see that the cause always is due more to adhyatmic dosha, internal paucity, rather than to external pressure. And I'm not denying that there are external pressures. Harsh external environments have made many a strong leader. If we want to build a strong Hindu home, strong Hindu values and Hindu education have to be imparted to every little Hindu. We cannot stop the breeze from blowing. It will continue to blow. But we can plant our foot firmly and refuse to be blown off our feet. One value, well lived, can ward off myriad external threats. Gandhiji lived too, Satyam and Ahimsa, and an entire empire fell. Imbibe the values. One value lived by a parent gets accentuated in a child. Live the simplest of value. Bow to your parent every day, for instance. Rama did it. This springs from the value enshrined in the Taittiriya Upanishad which the students chanted today. What was that? Matri Devo Bhava. Pitri Devo Bhava. Our mother is our first God. Our father is our God. So to consider the mother as God and the father as God is something which the Hindus have valued. And the kriya, or the act of bowing to that parent every day, has two benefits. First, even if the child doesn't understand the concept, the act softens the heart for the parents. His heart gets soft towards those parents just by the kriya, the act of bowing. The kriya spawns a sankalpa inside of him, a sanskara inside of him. And second, the value gets perpetuated in that sanskars will automatically get transferred to future offsprings of that individual when he grows up. Dr. Raghunathji, in his presentation in the Sansad Senate, spoke about the loss of respect in the home. This problem will certainly vanish if we just initiate the act. But it has to be done by me. I have met too many parents who will tell, hey, look, Swamiji, bow down to him. And the parents unobey. That will not work. As soon as the child gets an opportunity and the father is not there, Anila also spoke about aged parents. If that child makes his mother and father into God, if that child really imbibes this value, of course, bequeathed to him by his parents, that child will never leave his parent in some old age home abandoned. Such a child will never abandon his parent in old age home. Try it. It is also well known by the rishis that one good value spawns many other good values. Similarly, one value that is lost, and when one value is lost, there is a water slide effect. You know water slide? I was just imagining a water slide to the students, Once from the top there, once you let go that bar on the top. Yeah? And then I came up with a very nice plan, India and China, they are well situated, Himalayas high. We made a water slide from there. One to Beijing and one to Delhi. That's why they're laughing so loudly. Once, Lord Indra arrived unexpectedly at the home of Prahlad, the palace of Prahlad. Prahlad was king after Hiranyakashipu and all. He was greeted very reverentially by Prahlad, and he was treated as a guest is supposed to be treated, and so on. And when he was about to leave, Prahlad asked, well, it is also traditional that I give you some present. Tell me what do you want before you go? And Indra very shrewdly replied, I want Sheela, character. Give me character. And Prahlad was taken aback, for a few seconds. And bound by his promise, of course. Very well. Take Sheela. The embodiment of Sheela character presented himself and went with Indra. And Prahlad noticed a very strange thing. Behind him, he saw the personified forms of Dharma, Vartana, Dharma means righteousness, Vartana means moral conduct, Bala, power, Lakshmiji, prosperity, all of them followed character. So Prahlad asked, where are you going? So Lakshmiji said, well, once character gone, all we have to follow, So one guna, one trait, one value lost causes a water slide effect, all the values. And in the same vein, one proper value imbibed can bring in its wake myriad other great values. Where is the Hindu who is bold and brave and daring to rise like a formidable mountain to make himself a man of good character, braving the barrage of external onslaughts, and become a living embodiment and an exemplar of the values of the rishis for all of humanity to come. Where is that Hindu? But the people who really need this type of lecture, they are not present here today. And therefore, we have to seek other means. You don't have access to them. But I'll tell you one thing. We have 700 to 800 little Hindus in this school. They are all waiting to be converted to Hinduism. Why don't you join the effort? We welcome teachers in the school. Come to our schools and impart values. We don't have access to their parents, but we have access to 700 or 800 little Hindus who can form the bedrock of Hindu society in the future. And we just don't have them for weekends and weekend camps. We have them for 40 out of 52 weeks a year. Join in this effort and help to impart values for the next generation of Hindus who are going to take this great, wonderful, value-based religion ahead into the coming years. I thank you very much for having me. Hari Om.
Most heartfelt thank you to our Pujya Swami Prakashananda Ji. One of the greatest insignias of our noble Hindu tradition is one of taking firm resolutions or sankalpas to ensure that we remind ourselves constantly of our highest possibility, which filters and reflects in our thoughts, our words, and our deeds as individuals and as a nation. In so doing, the individual intention becomes the cosmic intention, and the cosmic intention becomes the individual intention. The Sansad has imbibed and maintained this tradition from the inception, and this year is of no exception, as the theme, Threats to the Hindu Home, has proven this year to be close to many of our hearts. I welcome once again Geeta Vahini Ji, as well as Sri Ravi Ji to the podium.
This part is called the Sankalp Trayam, in which there will be 3 resolutions. You are going to participate in this one. You have been given a small envelope, brown one, and in it there are some items. Kusha grass, which is part of a very significant symbol and that we use whenever we make sankalp, resolutions. Also doob grass, and also some akshat. We're supposed to have water, but Swamiji will find it problematic after if we throw water all over the place. So we leave the water for when you start to work it out and you perspire. So you are going to take that in your hand and hold it while we make this sankalp. Gita ji will read the sankalp, and after the sankalp itself, how to institute the sankalp, sometimes 3, sometimes 5 methods are also part of the sankalp. And when you repeat after that, you hold it in your hand, and you have to internalize it. As Swamiji was saying, is the internalization of the value of the resolution that is important. So then you will lift it. So kindly stand. Everybody, take out your brown paper. You just open it, and you can keep it in your hand. After you finish, you close it, and you put it in your bag. All right. Swamiji said to take out and put it in your hand like that. And afterwards, you'll put it back inside there. And then you would, so put it in your right hand. Okay.
After much deliberation, these are the resolutions of Varsha Pratipada Sansad 2017. 1. To actively participate in the preservation, protection, and promulgation of the sanskar-based Hindu home through grassroots programs across all Hindu platforms. A. We call upon parents to actively create an environment of Hindu dharma, ceremonies, disciplines, values, and thoughts at home. B. We call upon teachers to make meaningful and attractive Hindu traditions and Jnana knowledge. C. We call upon Pandits and elders to assist the home through premarital, marital, and family counseling. D. We call upon children and students to be eager to seek meaning through reading, viewing, attending dharmic sessions, asking questions, receiving initiation, and practicing Hindu disciplines and sadhana. E. We call upon the community to preserve and elevate Hindu practices which enrich our country, our environment, and our fellow men and women.
Now put your hand out, and everybody, one long Om together. Om.
2. To hold at least one event in our local mandirs, temples, organizations, and groups in honor of and awareness of the Hindu home. A. We call upon all members to establish one avenue for home awareness in their homes, local centers, villages, and mandirs through 1. Family camps, 2. Family services such as outreach, counseling, and interventions, 3. Children's activities such as classes of cultural and social significance, 4. Training in Hindu cultural practices and traditions, and 5. Seminars, discourses, and dialogues. Finally, 3. To renew, regain, and re-establish Hindu iconography and identity through promotion of Hindu symbols and symbolism. We call upon the Hindu community to re-establish the sacred swastika as an icon of Hindu religious and philosophical expression.
Now you'll give your assent by saying sadhu 3 times together. If anybody doesn't agree, you can sit down, you don't have to participate. So put your right hand out very firmly and say sadhu, this is how it was done in ancient times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu 3 times together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Har Har Mahadev. Jai Sri Ram. Satya Sri Sanatan Dharma ki. Kindly take your seats.
It is at this juncture we have come to the end of our program this evening. This event has resonated with the single thought that the home is indeed the place where the upholders of society will be born, that the home is the throne of dharma, integration, harmony, and right action are its products. And most importantly, that we must take up the mantle in our communities, and in this endeavor, we ourselves, our own friends and our own enemies. I'll call on Sri Raviji just one more time to explain our dinner arrangements, and then I'll continue after.
We're about to leave now to go outside to have our dinner. Before we have dinner, we have Bhojan Mantra. So when you go outside, we ask you to leave, as you're leaving, yes, go ahead with the arti, everybody. As you're leaving, we have a tendency to meet each other and talk. We have had time also, we'll have time for fraternity, but we have to do the business also, and since it's a congregation thing and we want to do certain things together, we ask you to follow the instructions. You will kindly, as a priority, you go to the place where you will collect your thalis and all of that to collect your food, buffet style, right? No? Or you'll serve to them. Sit down at the table and you'll be served. After that, Bhojan Mantra will also be said. You'll get the particular instructions there. We must all participate in that. We ask you after that to make sure that all the bottles that you use with water, that you use out all, that we don't throw away the water from the bottles. And we also ask you to find the rubbish bags where you can put these stuff. Now, one important point is that we are commemorating the 100th anniversary of the end of indentureship. And that is also reflected in some of the songs and the things we did, but also in the Bhojan. One of the aspects of the Bhojan would be Morangai. How many of you know the word Morangai? Let me see your hand. All right. But how many of you know the word Saijan? Let me see. Yes, Saijan. Saijan is just like the Hindu story. We had it all the time in our backyard, we never use it. Now the whole world proclaiming Saijan as the wonderful and everybody running towards it. So this is why we brought Saijan. And many people supply the Saijan, we collected and so on. And many families at home help clean it up and so on. So please make sure you try out the Saijan. Okay, thank you very much.
At this time, in keeping with our tradition regarding the sharing of knowledge, we'll be sending around arti thalis.
Oh, you're doing it? Yeah, sorry.
According to our dharma, we incur a debt towards anyone of knowledge any body of knowledge that enriches us. If we have benefited through this forum in some way, then we are given this arati as a means to repay that gift. All sevaks and members give of their time and resources selflessly. If you are in support of this movement and would like to contribute, anything shared will be greatly accepted and with gratitude, and used further to assist the Sansad and the Hindu voice of Trinidad and Tobago. On behalf of the Varsha Pratipada Sansad, we thank you all sincerely for participating this evening. And I understand also that there are new members who have joined with us this evening. We recognize also members of the Vivekananda Society, the Hindu Dharmic Prashad, and one member who is very dear to our hearts also is the president of the Satya Sai Baba organization of Trinidad and Tobago. He is here also together with his wife, Mrs. Usha Maharaj. So we thank you all for coming and joining with us, and we encourage you to keep the communication open further in expanding and evolving these discussions in your mandirs and institutions. We would like to invite you to have dinner, which has been lovingly sponsored by a new institution, a new entity of Chinmaya Mission, which is called Chatak Patak. And this is a food shop that is aimed at raising funds solely to continue such charitable work. Please do take advantage of our excellent bookstall and publications aimed at increasing Hindu philosophical thought and dharma through literature. We wish you a safe journey to your homes and take this opportunity once more to invite you in advance to our forum next year. Hari Om.